Let's try this again, ladies. This is for EDU 301, and what I want to do is talk to you specifically about some of the learning tasks that are due for this course. So this little video is going to mention a few things, but mainly focus on the family involvement plan, which is in a binder, and that presentation and the pieces that go in there. So what I've done on Blackboard, if you go to Blackboard and you go to assignments, you should be able to scroll down, and let's just focus on what's in blue. You are going to need to put together a statement of family involvement philosophy. This is something we haven't talked about yet, but we're going to use Epstein's framework, and that is in your text. It's also all over the internet, but Joyce Epstein mentioned 6 types of parent involvement, and so that's one of the frameworks that we're going to use as we're talking about the case study child and his or her family. This is going to be a 1-page paper, and I'll work with you on that as far as answering your questions. But with a lot of these components in your binder, you're going to use the 6 traits writing rubric. If you click on this link, you'll see something that looks like this, and here are some descriptions of the kinds of things I'm looking for in your writing. Okay. Back to Blackboard, you're going to need to work on a description of the school and the community. Now, for some of you, this is going to sound similar to what you had to do for EDU 202 with Head Start and EDU 211 with the classroom demographics and the school demographics, except while you are going to mention the demographics of the school and the community, that's definitely a piece. You're going to be looking at the occupational opportunities that are available in the community where the family lives, the family of the child that you're studying, and the recreational activities that are available. So this means you might have to drive around the neighborhood. You might want to take pictures, visit the Chamber of Commerce, and of course research online. And this is going to be a 2 to 4 page paper, depending on what you need. We're also going to use the 6 traits writing rubric. Now, you are going to need to compile a list of community resources. This truly is simply a list. It could be bulleted, it could be in columns. You're going to want to look at the educational resources within the community, the health resources, and the social services that are available for the particular child that you are studying, or children who have special needs, such as the child that you're studying. So this is just a list. You're going to want to interview and then write a summary of the interview of the teacher. Now, much like the other courses that you've taken with me, you need to ask him or her about their educational background, teaching experience, and philosophy. But you also need to develop questions about the school's parent involvement program. And to do that, you're going to use Epstein's framework. So for those questions, I need to see the questions that you intend to ask, because I want to make sure that you ask questions that will give you what you need in order to address Epstein's framework. So that's why, please note, do not conduct the interview before you have the questions approved by me. You can go ahead and find out about your teacher's educational background, teaching experience, and philosophy as soon as possible. Ask the teacher if you can audio record the interview, because you will want to have that as a resource to listen to again as you're writing up your paper. But And we'll talk about that also. Now, one of the other components in your FIP or Family Involvement Plan is meeting with the family. You need to meet once to introduce yourself, explain to the family that you are wanting to help their child, and that you really want to get to know them so that you can design activities that are specifically going to help him or her strengthen skills and in whatever area they might deem um, they might think needs strengthening. Again, ask them if you can audio record the meeting. You definitely want the teacher with you at this meeting, and you're going to then write up a 1 to 2 page summary of the meeting, what surprised you, what you might do differently, and how you felt um, during the interview. So you're also going to once again bring in a connection to Epstein's framework in your summary, and then you'll want to upload the audio file and your audio file into a personal folder that I'll create for you on the Google Drive. Now, this next component ties in a little bit with the community resources. It is actually something you might be able to accomplish while you're driving around looking at the neighborhood. You need to choose one service agency that you can actually visit, you can walk into, and ask for a brochure. You're going to write, could be only 1 page if it's done well. You're going to write an informational essay about the services this agency provides, how the services might be beneficial to your particular child and his family or her family, and why you chose to learn more about this service agency. So as the other community resources was just that was just a list. That assignment was a list. This is an actual paper. Now, we will talk in class more about the Advocacy and Learning Service Learning Project. We'll also talk about the flip grid response after we play homelessness, home sweet homelessness game. But let me get to the backpack because this goes along with your FIP binder. You are going to develop a container full of at least 3 activities that are geared toward your child. And for each activity, you will create a lesson plan, but it will not be a lesson plan that you probably are used to writing for some of your other classes. There needs to be an objective in layman's terms or terms that parents can understand. It's going to list the materials, simple procedures for carrying out the activity, and an extension of the activity. So, how to make the activity different for another day, and maybe how to make it harder or easier if the child struggles with it. I have various examples of these kinds of activities, and I just want you to really be creative here. You might choose to put it in a backpack or a reusable shopping bag. If getting a container is a problem, I can help you with that. But we really just need to be creative. This is, to me, one of the most fun parts of this class because this is something that you will actually put in the hands of the child. These other things, you're going to introduce your case study child, describe the relationships within the family, tell us about the child from an assets-based perspective. That means plus the strengths, and we'll go over that some more in class. And then you are going to use your Children with Special Needs in Early Childhood Settings book and other resources to research his or her special needs, as well as bring in the NAEYC ethical code. Seems like a lot, but we will take this piece by piece, okay? You're going to describe the individual home and community factors surrounding that child. You're going to give us an idea of his or her social, cognitive, and physical development. You might use some websites that I offer to you that have developmental checklists. Some of you who have already taken 202 are familiar with the developmental checklists. And then you're going to design or offer some strategies for supporting the family in developing those social, cognitive, and physical domains. And almost lastly, you're going to write a reflection of this project that explains your thinking and the challenges that you had, the rewards, the implications for future learning, how you might see this, how this may help you in the future. And you're going to make sure that you tie in your experience with theory. So I'm telling you, you should not turn in your reflections without mentioning Bronfenbrenner's ecological model and Epstein's framework, the parent involvement framework, at a bare minimum. Of course, you can also bring in any of those theorists that you've already learned about that we talk about in class, or any of the other experts that you know. And then you're going to put all of these things together in a binder. You're going to bring it to class on our last day for our final exam, and we are going to have a scholarly discussion about it. It is not something you are going to need to make a presentation for, but you do need a prop. You need a prop, something visual that goes along with your family involvement plan. So I'm going to be sharing the course schedule, the tentative course schedule that gives you an idea of what you need to be reading. Sorry for the scrolling. But for example, we are here today. Today's Thursday, January 23rd. I'll send you an email about Flipgrid. Not exactly sure what that is. Let me delete that. And again, just to remind you that you have a Blackboard discussion that is due by Friday, tomorrow, at midnight. And I think we're done. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.